Hello, I'm Donald Leggett and welcome to this edition of Share Views brought to you by the financial website London South East. Our guest today is Mike Buck, CEO of AIM-listed Petro Matad, who, as you may well know, have a fully funded 4-well drilling campaign taking place in Mongolia during 2019. Welcome to the London South East studio, Mike.
Thank you, Don. Nice to be back.
And how are you? Busy?
Yes, very busy. Considering it's the winter months when Mongolia is supposed to be quiet, we seem to be a cauldron of activity at the moment, making sure that we're ready for the packed 2019 programme. Cracking
on, analysing seismic and doing all the things that you do. So you've been busy in London at the moment, though. Speaking to shareholders, speaking to analysts. What's the big message that you've been giving to them about Petro Matad?
Yeah, well, we were certainly due to give an operational update, even though the winter months there aren't any field operations underway. But I thought it important to remind people of what the programme looks like, because obviously we did drill in 2018. We didn't drill as many wells as we planned. But we are planning to complete our 6-well programme with the 4 wells in 2019. And I thought it was important to remind people that we've got a balanced portfolio of some near-field exploration over in the east, close to existing production. And we've still got some of the large, high-impact and romantic potential over in the west. So the 2019 programme is going to be a balance between both.
So what happened in the back end of 2018 since we spoke last? You had 2 wells, 2 high-impact wells, both dusters, but you were going for 4. So what was that all about, and what were the positives that you can bring, that you take from those?
Yeah, okay. Well, in terms of the number of wells, I did say the first time we met that, judges by our success, do we drill 4 wells in 2018 and do we find any oil? So that's not looking particularly good, but I would say we did, until about September, expect to be able to do the 4 wells in 2018. We ran into problems consummating the deal with the rig contractor in September for the start of the Block 20 drilling campaign. And finally it was clear we were going to run out of the drilling season, so we postponed the 2 wells from Block 20 to 2019. But we did drill 2 wells in the west, in Block 4 and Block 5. Those were 2 of our higher risk wildcat wells. Very, very big potential, and obviously our hope was that we were going to strike oil first time. The first well, Snow Leopard number 1, although it didn't find a commercial accumulation of hydrocarbons, did find good shows of oil and gas, proving for the first time that the basin that the well was drilled within does have an active petroleum system.
So in language that punters will understand,
okay,
what does that trace of oil say to you as an expert?
Well, basically it's telling you that the basin within which that well was drilled, somewhere within it has an active generating petroleum source that we didn't know about before we drilled the well. The only way we're going to find out was to drill the well. Light oil has migrated from that source rock into some of the strata that we penetrated in the well, and we had good shows of gas effectively throughout the bottom part of the Snow Leopard well, suggesting that this basin does have an active petroleum system. Now, whilst the structure, the trap itself at Snow Leopard does not appear to have worked, and we're doing some post-well analyses to fully understand why that was, what it tells you is the basin as a whole is generating hydrocarbons, so the prospectivity in the rest of the basin is not written off by the failure to find an accumulation of hydrocarbons in the first well you drill. So we've generated some new prospects that were recognised as leads previously, but nobody knew whether there was a reservoir or source. Now we know from the results of Snow Leopard that they probably have both of those components, and these are a nice set of structures to the south called the Raptor Trend, with Velociraptor being the largest of the 3/4 of them, and that one has been high graded, and that is why we're doing this evaluation to see, having had that encouragement, if not commercial success in Snow Leopard, how can we follow up with a different style of trap and potentially an even larger resource size that we're chasing there. 200 million barrel potential in Velociraptor with another 200 in the structures on either side. So with success in the first, then obviously it means you can easily follow up with the satellite structures.
And will you go after Velociraptor within your well season of 2019, or is that one for later?
Our plan at the moment is to drill 3 wells in Block 20 over in the east, which is near field exploration that we can talk about in a moment. But then the 4th well will be a well in Block 5, which is either going to be one of the Raptor Trend, probably Velociraptor, or Fox, which was a prospect we developed last year that we were preparing to drill. But now we're doing a new ranking of the prospects in Block 5 because the Raptor Trend has been high-graded by the results of Snow Leopard number 1.
So from what you've said to me, it's pretty clear. You still think Mongolia is going to deliver oil. Will Petro Matad be the company to extract that oil?
Well, I certainly hope so. We're by far the most active exploration company in Mongolia at the moment, and we are obviously planning our 4 wells in 2019. And with success, we would obviously like to be doing more. The balanced nature of the portfolio for 2019 is one of the things I liked. We weren't able to drill in Block 20 in 2018, but that's where our highest chance of success has always lain. And you usually like to drill those wells first because of not having the block paperwork in order at the time. We couldn't drill Block 20 first, but we can in 2019. So that's what we're going to do. Block 20 first of all, best chances of success. Smaller structures, but still economically very, very viable. And then once we finish the 3 wells there, move back over to Block 5, by which time we will have decided which of these prospects we'll go for, and then try another of the big potential high impact.
And what are the benefits of actually getting some oil flowing?
Well, particularly over in the east, in Block 20, we're very close to existing infrastructure. So there's production infrastructure, export infrastructure that has spare capacity. So if we are successful, we can very quickly put wells in that area on stream because we can piggyback on the operations of the neighbouring producer. We've had some preliminary discussions. We're going to continue those, re-engage with them once we've drilled our wells. But that gives us the chance to very quickly put wells that are successful on test production effectively straight away. And that would be good because Petro Matad has been an explorer with no revenue for far too long. And so I'm looking forward to getting drilling in Block 20. The first well we plan to drill, our reinterpretation of reprocessed seismic data that we've been doing over the last few months has convinced us that actually the Heron structure, which is going to be the first target, is the same structure as the L1946 structure, which is a proven oil-bearing structure immediately across the border in Block 19. So effectively, Heron 1 is an appraisal of a discovery already made. So therefore the chances of success there is obviously very good. And with that success, it would be nice to put that well into production to see how well it will produce and to start earning some money.
Is Heron the only one of the 3 in Block 20 that you rate as an appraisal, or could you rate the others as appraisal wells as well?
So Heron, yes, is an appraisal, and our mapping clearly demonstrates that. The Gazelle prospect, which is immediately to the west, where we expect to have perhaps better reservoir, by analogy with what PetroChina has in their area. That is a structure that is shared with the block immediately to the north, but only a tiny part of it is in Block 19, and they have not drilled it. So no, Gazelle is an exploration well. It's not a structure that's been drilled by somebody else, but it's on a trend that has, and it's on a trend that produces a lot of oil. So Gazelle is an exploration well, Red Deer is an exploration well, Heron's an appraisal well.
What's the order of drilling? Have you decided yet?
Yeah, I try not to pick the targets or come up with the drilling order before my geologists have finished their work, because if I say I've already decided, they might stop working. But in this case, I think it's pretty likely from what we've seen, it will be Heron first, Gazelle second, Red Deer third. Now,
Red Deer is popping down to the back end of that block. So
yeah,
why pop to the back end of the block?
Okay, well, Red Deer is for Block 20. Red Deer is quite a large target. It's nearly 50 million barrels of mean prospective resource, and were we to find that amount of hydrocarbon in Red Deer, that would be a very, very significant value addition for Petro Matad.
So it's near field, but it's quite a significant amount of oil.
Yeah, that will be the first well drilled in that particular basin. But unlike the basins to the west that we drilled in 2018 with our wildcat wells, the basins in Block 20 are well understood because all of the basins in China and that part of Mongolia share the same geological history and the same rock formations. So we're not chasing an unknown petroleum system, we're chasing a proven petroleum system. So even though it's the first well in the basin, Red Deer will have a pretty good chance of success as well. But it's definitely an exploration well. The reason why I want to do it, though, is it offers larger potential than the prospects immediately bordering the PetroChina area. And if Red Deer was to come in, then our calculations based on our own economic estimates is that Red Deer could be worth $300 million of NPV 10. And for a company of our size, that is a serious addition of value.
Okay.
So well worth drilling.
How much are those wells are going to cost you to drill? How much is the potential in terms of in dollar terms, in oil barrel terms, and Block 5 as well? So if you give me the costings in one big chunk.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've tendered for the rig contract for 2019, and we have yet to finalise exactly who is going to win. But of the two main contenders, their bids are in line with our budget. So the assumptions we made when we were preparing the budget seem to have been borne out. The wells in Block 20 are of the order of, let's say, around about $3 million each, which by world standards is pretty low cost. And in Block 5, if we were to drill the deep Fox well, that is going to be of the order of $7 million, which is comparable to the cost of Snow Leopard in 2018. If we were to drill Velociraptor, that's a shallower well, that would be of the order of $3 million. So that's how they stack up in terms of cost. In terms of value, a 15 million barrel discovery, which is approximately the size of Heron in the mean case, is worth in NPV terms around about $80 million, which is well worth having. As I said, Red Deer at 50 million barrels potential, of the order of $300 million NPV 10. And if we look at, we've run a case of 150 million barrels over in Block 5, even though both of the prospects are bigger than that. 150 million barrels is worth more than $1 billion of NPV 10. So obviously, although wildcatting comes with a particular risk profile, and therefore, you have to keep doing it until you find something. When you find it, it's well worth finding.
Sure, so the returns are big, huh?
The returns are big. So the 2019 program, unlike the 2018 program, which turned out to just be lower chance of success, but huge high potential if they come in, 2 of those kind of wells. For 2019, we have the nice balance of 3 wells with good chance of success, and also the remaining romance of the Velociraptor trend or of Fox, which really do have big value additive potential in basins that we've proven to have working petroleum systems.
And if you do find the oil, how easy is it to commercialise that oil?
In the east, close to the PetroChina operation, very easy, because the production infrastructure is there and the export route to refineries in China is there. In the west, we'd have to set it up ourselves because there is no production over in that part of Mongolia at the moment. But we've done a lot of work to check it out. We see that a trucking operation into China could easily be done. But Mongolia has actually started work on the long talked about refinery that they plan to build to have a domestic refining capacity. And the big prospects of blocks 4 and 5, those are a fantastic incentive to add to the capacity of the domestic refinery. As and when those come in, then Mongolia will be I'm sure, very, very pleased. But over in Block 20, we have the potential to bring fields on stream effectively a well at a time, if we wish, because of their proximity to infrastructure with spare capacity.
And if you were to actually have some success in finding oil, it helps with revenues, it helps with your farming prospects, and it takes the pressure off you, I presume.
Well, indeed, as I said, Petro Matad is unique in my experience as being a pure explorer for as long as it's been a pure explorer. Some of the prospects that we have in our portfolio now, I think particularly of, say, Gazelle in northern Block 20, That prospect has been on Petro Matad's books since it launched back in 2006. That was going to be the site of one of the original wells. It's a long time coming that it's going to finally get drilled, but it needs to get drilled. High chance of success that it may come in, and that will help to change Petro Matad from an organisation that is purely exploration to one that can generate some free cash flow to finance its exploration, whilst at the same time helping to develop the discoveries that it has made.
So in terms of the share price, what's the opportunity for investors in Petro Matad, do you think? The share price is at a year low.
Yep.
That reflects the lack of success you guys have had.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, you're putting out some very positive news Thursday, Friday, and the commentary from brokers, SP Angel and Cantor, positive.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I would say that the value proposition we have for the wells that we're drilling for a company of our size, it's just, it's a no-brainer as to do this. And the fact that we're fully funded for these wells, I think is a good position for us to be in. Now, the share price took a big dent when we announced the results of the 2 wells in 2018, and I'm not surprised. Probably it went down a little too far, in my opinion, but that's only my opinion.
But you're always going to say that, don't you? You are the chief executive.
Yeah, there was a lot of sentiment behind those wells. A lot of people were hoping that, as an explorer, we would be successful very, very early in the program. We have been had some success, or at least some encouragement from snow leopard. Fair enough, not so much from wild horse, but I would still argue that was a structure that had to be drilled. I would say that the thing that's going to move our share price in the right direction is going to be success with the drill bit. I'd like to generate a bit of enthusiasm around the program because I think that over the years, where Block 20 had been largely pushed to one side and forgotten about, I think that people have forgotten that there actually is potential value there at a very good chance of finding it.
Okay. Give us the news flow in 2019. Head us off into the sunset with a smile on our faces.
Okay, well, we're planning to start our drilling campaign in 2019 in April. And the wells we're going to drill, the Heron well, the first well, is about a 3,000 metre well. So that's going to take, the drilling contractors say a month, let's add a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. So probably 6 weeks. We should be looking at having the first result during the second quarter. The follow-up wells are relatively shallow, should be relatively quick, so further news flow from well number 2, well number 3 in July and into late August, early September. And then moving across to Block 5 for a big fourth quarter well. Obviously, if we have some success early on, we'll be looking to test that, so there would be news flow coming out of how did the tests go. And we also, if we have some success, we may have to consider changing the drilling order, because it would be nice if we're in a position to put wells on stream to have more than one well to put on stream. So the idea of a quick appraisal is something that we have in mind and something that we're permitting to be ready to do.
Okay. Mike Buck, CEO of Petro Matad, thank you very much indeed for that operational update. Some fascinating information there. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And don't forget to subscribe to London South East's YouTube channel for more interviews like this one. Thank you for joining us.